Well, this is not where I expected the bus journey to start. When we first picked it up, we had some issues starting it, but that was only because there was a dead battery. So we got it jumped, no issue, and then headed back towards our build site, which was about an hour and 10 minutes from where we picked it up. And on the way to that site, Justin's car actually blew a tire, and his vehicle didn't have a spare tire or anything, so he was left stranded on the side of the road for a while, waiting for a tow company to come out and tow his car to a place to get a new tire. And he told me to go ahead and get to the build site and just hang out there. So I did make it to our build site without any issues. I was hanging out there and then got a hold of Justin, and it was going to take them a little bit longer than he was expecting to be able to pick it up and do the tire, and asked that I come back and pick him up, and we would work on some stuff with the bus while he's waiting to get the call that his car was ready. Well, I am on the side of the road on my way back to Justin, only about 2.5 miles from where he broke down, and I was driving, and all of a sudden there was a big clunk sound, a buzzer alarm went off, and I realized that I blew one of my rear tires. So luckily there's redundancies with buses, and I still have 3 good tires on the back for now. Ultimately, I've got a company coming out that has the right tools to be able to take the bad tire off, and I will be limping back to the build site on 3 rear tires and 2 front tires. And then once things are a little bit calmer, I will call to have a replacement tire brought out and installed on the bus. Or if there's one close enough, I'll be able to drive the bus over there. But I really want to limit how many miles I put on it with only 5 out of the 6 tires in place. So I'm going to be hanging out here on the side of the road now for probably another 25 to 30 minutes waiting for this company to show up to take the tire off. But these are the kinds of things that you have to plan for, even though it's unexpected, especially when you're doing a bus build and you want to hit the road. I would much rather have this happen in the beginning so that I can get it taken care of, and then ultimately I'll figure out the rest of the build afterwards. So for now, I'm down a tire, and we'll figure out how to replace that in the future, but just want to get back to the build site for today and relax, but we'll see how long that takes. Hey there, everybody. It is another beautiful day here in Central Florida, and I just wanted to take a moment and share the story of how I actually purchased my bus. Well, after talking to Justin, he said that the tow company that he was using would be able to send a crew out, lift the bus up, remove the tire, and I could limp back to the build site on 3 rear wheel tires. So called them. About 45 minutes later, they sent a crew out. We got the bus in a position that they could lift to the rear end, but with a 2005, it has air suspension, and when they lifted the back end, the airbags just inflated more, keeping the tires on the ground. And they finally got to a point where they realized their impact drivers were not big enough, nor could they lift the bus high enough with their truck, and basically had to call it quits. And luckily they knew somebody else and said, let me call them, see if we can get another team out here from a different company that can service you and get this tire off. Well, another 45 minutes goes by, this new company shows up, more of like a service truck. So they have a big air compressor, big tools, jacks, all of it, and they're getting ready to jack the bus up to pull the tire off when they realized somebody had swapped the impacts from their truck to the other service truck for the company. So they said, we actually have to run back to our shop because nobody's answering, so to be able to get these bigger impact tools. So another 45 minutes goes by, they show back up, they're getting ready, they got their compressors running, they got the bus jacked up, and in under 10 minutes with the right tools, they were able to break the corrosion on the lug nuts, get the tire off, put the lugs back on, secure the inside tire, and help me load the bad tire into the back of the bus. And basically that got me to a point where I could drive and limp back to the build site. And in my head I was like, oh yeah, it's only 20 minutes back. But that would have been 20 minutes at 60 miles an hour, and instead I could only hit between 25 and 30 miles an hour, missing 1 rear tire. So it was about a 45-minute drive back to the build site. There was still a buzzer alarm going off on the bus that I didn't know what it was at the time. And at this point, I had been on the side of the road for over 3 hours with 2 different crews to get the bus in a position to drive it back. So long story short, we got back to the build site, got the bus parked, and I called one of my roommates for a ride to get me back to my house and left it at that for the day. after looking over the bus, I finally figured out what the buzzer was. One of the emergency windows had bumped when the tire blew, and because the latch had opened, that triggered a buzzer alarm, so got that fixed today. But all in all, my spirits are still high. I'm looking forward to the bus build, but it was a very interesting way to start this adventure and start the journey. So I just want to share that with you guys, that if you're looking to take on a bus build, expect the unexpected. You never know what's going to happen. And even though I had some bad luck in the first day, again, I'm still looking forward to all the adventures that are to come. And now I do need to factor into the budget some new tires, which that was always a possibility when buying a used bus. Well, thank you guys for listening, and be sure to like and subscribe to follow along on this journey as we go through and build the bus. And leave a comment below if you've built your own Skoolie and have any tips or tricks as we go forward with the build, and so we can help avoid some of these mistakes. And share your story of how you bought your first school bus. And we'll talk to you as the build continues.